Today it's March 7th, 2014. It's 12:30. Today's Friday. What did I want to talk about today? There was something, and I forget what it was. I purchased Corel VideoStudio Ultima X6. I think I mentioned in another, I'm not sure, some stuff I put in my blog, and I can't remember if I talked about it on. I just purchased the software, and they just came out with version X7. And to upgrade, well, the price of it brand new is like $90. No, it's $100. $99, $100. And to upgrade from a previous version is $80. I may have made a mistake, but I do like the Corel VideoStudio. And to Joe, who left a comment someplace, I'm not sure if it was left on Google Plus or where. I think the rest of a lot of you, I think, are like me. I do not feel like I know what's going on with Facebook and all these things. I'm not sure what's being posted where. It scared the hell out of me when my cell phone all of a sudden says your pictures are being uploaded. You know, where in the hell are they being uploaded to, you know? I kind of feel like I don't have enough control, like the old BBS days. I knew then, although I made some mistakes. I remember one time I was driving over to go to work for Raymore PD, patrol for them, and I was a quarter of a mile from the city limits, and Bulletin PD officer pulled me over and came up, and then I was in uniform and everything, and then he went back to, he said, okay, Jim, stay within the speed limit when I'm back. And of course I had a scanner in my car, or I might have had my radio, can't remember which. I heard him say, yeah, another Raymore police officer. So when I got home that day, on my bulletin board system, I sent a message to a fellow police officer. I'm not sure if I sent it to Raymore police officer or a Belton police officer, and I said, of course I didn't get a ticket or whatever. And then I found out that was public. I hadn't sent it as a private message. So then I had some people saying, I knew they treated police officers special, and that's not fair. But this is much worse with Facebook and Google Plus and all these. And I don't think it's as bad as I probably think it is, but I just hate it. I mean, I just don't like the feeling that I don't have good control. Oh. So anyway, I think I mentioned this, and I did in a video, that I installed first the trial version of Corel VideoStudio Pro X6 and played with it and liked it, and then I went ahead and purchased from Amazon, so I got it as a digital download, the ultimate version, and I installed that, and it still said Corel VideoStudio Pro. It didn't say, and so Joe said that left a comment someplace that probably I needed to uninstall and at the time I thought I should do it, but anyway, I took his advice and I went ahead and uninstalled, although I'd already downloaded, and went ahead and uninstalled it. And what I found was it still says Corel Studio Video Pro X6 on my desktop, but I found that there were some extras that I had not installed. That when I downloaded it, there was an extra package that had 6 or 7 extra things, and I didn't get those. So I uninstalled that one and installed it. Another thing when I downloaded from Amazon, you know, and they keep a copy there in your digital library or whatever they call it when you purchase software or whatever. Well, I had downloaded it, so on my download folder on my computer, I thought, well, I've got it there. I don't need to go and download it again. I tried to install it, and it said, you know, it has time expired. So not much point in saving it there, you know. And I wonder how many times I don't read the fine, all those things that when you install software or buy something, all those pages of documents, I never fucking read them. You know, I could be signing my life away or whatever. I just check it. You know, yes, yes, yes. Except when I download some programs, you have to make sure that you don't get some of these things you download. Want to change your search engine, want to change your home page, all this kind. So you have to make sure you don't check. You have to uncheck them or whatever. But anyway, I think I answered Joe. Joe's ran a BBS a long time ago. He's one of those people. I've got people that still in contact with from back in the bulletin board days. We all pioneered in a lot of, you know, a lot of things were done before there was a worldwide net. And I was blogging before. If you do a search, go to Wikipedia or whatever, although somebody recently, when Wikipedia was updated recently, it used to be that Wikipedia would say that blogging was started in 1995, and I've posted a few times. No, I was doing it in 1982. In 1984, Link Up magazine wrote an article about 10 bulletin board systems, and when they mentioned mine, you know, they talked about that I had a chatty thing, and I told what was going on in my life and all this other, you know, all this other stuff. And the guy who wrote that article, I'm not sure exactly. Well, he was a writer, not sure exactly, but now he's publisher or editor of a big newspaper, nationwide newspaper. But I think he's now in charge of the online thing. And I happened to contact him a few years ago, and I said, you know, remember me from Link Up magazine? And I said, I think I might just be the inventor of blogging. And he answered back and says, yeah, I think you might be. Well, of course, there were other people doing stuff like I was doing. My complaint was, no, blogging was not invented in 1995 because I was doing it in 1982. Now maybe somebody else was doing it in 1981 or 1980 or 1979. I don't know, but in 1980, I was doing blogging. I had several people mention to me, well, you couldn't be doing blogging in 1980 because the word blogging wasn't invented until 1995. And that just blows my mind. You know, when Orville Wright, the Wright brothers, or whoever, when they invented their flying machine and did their flight there in Kitty Hawk or whatever, you know, they didn't call it an airplane. So are you going to say, well, no, the airplane wasn't, you know, invented until whatever the date when somebody wrote, airplane. Just like, are you going to say that automobile wasn't invented until, the automobile wasn't invented until someone used the word automobile, or that car, or until they invented the word car, that cars weren't invented? No, they started out probably being called horseless carriages or steam powered carriages or something. So that, when somebody says, well, no, you couldn't have invented blogging, or you couldn't have been blogging in 1982 because the word blog wasn't invented. We know who invented the word blog. There was some, I forget the part of it, and they changed it around, and that became blogging, you know. And yeah, he deserves, if you're going to say who invented the word, you know, blog, who first applied the word blog or blogging, well, then that's the guy you give credit to. But he wasn't the first blogger. By the way, in this BBS, the documentary, which I think I created or put a video with a little bit of it on YouTube. I started blogging in 1982, and I heard the names of the guy who invented the first bulletin board system, and the guy who invented X modem protocol and FidoNet and all those things. I knew those people's names, but I didn't know anything about them until I watched this, or what they even probably looked like. Although there was a magazine that I really loved to read, Boardwatch magazine, and I think they had pictures occasionally to be at some gathering or whatever, and there was, that reminds me, there was, there'd be a picture of the magazine. Let's see. One BBS Con. This was the second one I think they held, I believe, in Colorado Springs in 1993. That would be a couple years before the World Wide Web was invented. I went out there with a doctor because he had invested in a little bit of money into my computer bulletin board system. He thought there might be some way to make some money with it. I told him there. I didn't think there was, but we went out there together, and there was, I'd say, about 1,000 people there, maybe 700. And we started out, we filled the auditorium, and they said, okay, all you people who operate computer bulletin board systems, stand up. And I think the inventor of I think he was on the stage, the inventor of the bulletin board system. I believe he was one of the people that, was there. So we all, about everybody there, stood up. Okay, anybody who has had a bulletin board system for a year or less, sit down. Hell, a quarter of the people sat down right away. Okay, anybody who, and okay, 5 years or whatever, sit down or whatever. And kept going until there was like a dozen of us out of this 1,000 people. I was one of them, standing up. And then finally, okay, if you've had one, I forget whether they did it by years or date or whatever, but so finally I sat down, and there was like 5 or 6 other people out of this 1,000, standing up. And then they said, okay, everybody stand up that has a bulletin board system. If you have less than 100 members, sit down. And a few people sat down. If you have less than 500 users for your bulletin board system or whatever, sit down. And I sat down, and the place was still, everybody was standing up. I had about 500 users, and what I would do is I had it automatically set so if you didn't log in 90 days, it would automatically go and take you out. And I know what these other people were doing is everybody, once somebody signed up with them as a member or whatever, they never removed them, I'm sure. But I had my system remove them. But this was not the subject that I was planning on discussing. And what was I planning on discussing? I can't remember. So anyway, I'm going to have to label this what. Let me bring up, oh wait, 15 minutes. That's I better end it here. I was going to bring up the fact that I'm still going to bring it up. Back in the beginning, the internet was used by the military and universities. They connected together and shared data and information or whatever. So back when I had the computer bulletin board system going, I heard about the internet and had no idea what the internet was, really. Then I found that, you know, they could exchange emails, and that there were also things called like news groups. So there were like railroad, you know, people discussing railroads or people discussing any topic that you can think of. There was news groups for it, and people would discuss it and post messages or whatever. So a couple other bulletin board systems in Kansas City, Missouri area, and myself, actually another guy was the guy who had the contact, and he arranged with a university where our computers would automatically dial into that university, and we could send internet emails, receive internet emails that were sent back. You know, we had little domain names that were created, and we could also pull in, you know, news groups, and that could be on our bulletin board system. So you could log into Howard's Notebook, and if you were interested in guns or amateur radio or the TV show Wings, or, you know, whatever, you could read these things. And you could, but I had to, I'm sure I had to explain to users, okay, this is what internet email is, and here is how you send it. You put the person's name, like White House, and this @ sign, and then you put, you know, whitehouse.gov or whatever. And I even had to set it up a few so they could just click on it, automatically fill it in for me. The people, you know, @ sign, you know. But so for a few months we were doing this, and all of a sudden somebody someplace, and I'm not sure whether it was locally or whether it was in some other city or state, somebody figures out, why is there a security guard sending, you know, internet email and other stuff? Why is there a carpenter and a blacksmith and a candlestick maker and these kind of people? They're not military people. They're not, you know, students at a university or college professors. They shouldn't be doing it. And we got kicked off. And so I'm not sure exactly what the other two bulletin board systems did. I contacted the Heathkit Users Group in Omaha, Nebraska, and they let me tie into their system. So my computer would call 2 or 3 times a day to Omaha, Nebraska, and send the packets of data and receive packets back. And back then, the phone company, they charged you an arm and a leg to make a long-distance phone call. And God forbid you have to make a long-distance phone call within your home state. You might as well give them your kidney or something. Anyway, I got to figure the tags for this. BBS, internet. I don't know. We'll figure it out, won't we? I wonder what I was going to tell you. I can't remember. Oh, I think I was going to talk a little about my lights. I've got my 2 lights on. I am going to mention this real quick. Now, when I go into the rest of the apartment, it seems so dark and gloomy, and the lights are giving off a yellow, sickening, you know. This is pretty nice. Oh well. Thanks for watching.